Iran has now claimed on 5 separate occasions over the course of 13 days that it struck the USS Abraham Lincoln. The ship is a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, a Nimitz-class vessel. It is a floating city at sea. Roughly 5,000 sailors live and work aboard it. Its flight deck supports around 70 aircraft. It carries 4 catapult launch systems and 2 nuclear reactors capable of generating enough electricity to power a mid-sized American town. The ship cost roughly $9 billion to build, and the air power it carries is greater than the entire military aviation capacity of many countries. Iran has claimed 5 times that it struck this ship. Each time the United States military responded in the same way. Officials said the claims were false. They said the missiles did not come close. They said the Abraham Lincoln continued normal flight operations. On the 7th day of the conflict, the Pentagon went further. It released photographs of the carrier underway in the Arabian Sea. Aircraft sat on its deck. Crew members were visible at their stations. The message was clear. The ship was operational and unharmed. Iran's response to those photographs was not to retract its claims. Instead, 4 days later, Iranian sources again said the carrier had been struck. And then the claim appeared again after that. This is the information war inside the shooting war. Both sides have strong incentives to shape the narrative. The United States needs the Abraham Lincoln to appear essentially unhittable. Not only because of the strategic consequences if a nuclear-powered carrier were damaged, but because of the symbolic meaning of the ship itself. Aircraft carriers represent the core of American power projection. For decades, they have been the answer to a question asked in nearly every international crisis. Where are the carriers? If a carrier could be hit or forced to withdraw by a country whose conventional navy has been largely destroyed, the global perception of military balance would change. Not necessarily collapse, but change. Iran, on the other hand, has its own reasons to claim the opposite. It does not need to sink a carrier. The claim alone can influence events. Every headline suggesting the carrier might have been hit introduces uncertainty. Energy traders read those headlines. Shipping companies read them. Governments across the Gulf read them. Each new claim subtly affects calculations about risk. Between these competing narratives lies a space where the truth becomes harder to define. And while attention has focused on the carrier itself, another naval campaign has been unfolding in the background. Unlike the claims surrounding the Abraham Lincoln, this campaign is widely confirmed. On the 13th day of the conflict, 6 commercial vessels were attacked within a 14-hour period in the Persian Gulf. The attacks occurred along shipping lanes stretching from the entrance of the Strait of Hormuz toward Iraq's Basra oil terminal. 2 of the vessels were fuel tankers operating near Iraqi waters. They were struck by explosive-laden drone boats that collided with their hulls near the waterline. 1 crew member was reported dead. More than 24 others were rescued by emergency teams. The fires on the tankers continued burning long after the attacks occurred. In response, Iraq temporarily suspended operations at its oil terminals. None of the vessels targeted were military ships. They were commercial cargo vessels and tankers. They were part of the infrastructure that supports global trade. Roughly 20% of the world's daily oil supply normally moves through these waters. The attacks were not carried out with long-range missiles launched from Iranian territory. Instead, they involved small, remotely guided boats packed with explosives. These drone boats are relatively inexpensive compared to large naval weapons. They can travel close to the water's surface, making them difficult to detect with radar systems designed for larger threats. And they can be deployed in large numbers. Military analysts note that similar technology has been used in other conflicts to target larger naval forces. In narrow waterways such as the Persian Gulf, these systems can become especially disruptive. The geography of the region amplifies the effect. The Gulf is a long but relatively confined body of water. At its narrowest point, the Strait of Hormuz measures only about 33 kilometers across. Shipping lanes are predictable. Large vessels follow established routes. This creates a situation where attackers may have more flexibility than defenders. Large naval vessels are designed primarily for operations in open ocean environments. In those conditions, fleets can maneuver over large distances and maintain significant separation from potential threats. In narrow waters, the geometry changes. Ships must move through limited corridors. Distances between shorelines and shipping lanes can be very short. Over the first weeks of the conflict, American forces reported destroying numerous Iranian naval vessels and facilities. However, Iran's maritime strategy has long included systems designed to operate even if traditional surface ships are lost. These include coastal missile batteries, naval mines, fast attack craft, and drone boats. Such systems are intended to create uncertainty and disruption in confined waters. Naval mines also play a role in this strategy. Once placed in shipping lanes, mines can remain hidden below the surface for extended periods. Even the possibility that mines exist can significantly disrupt commercial traffic. Shipping companies and insurers must calculate risk carefully. When uncertainty becomes high enough, vessels may simply stop entering the region. Recent insurance decisions have reflected those concerns. Several maritime insurers have suspended coverage for vessels transiting the Gulf under current conditions. Without insurance, most shipping companies will not send ships into the area. The result is a dramatic slowdown in maritime traffic. This has major implications for global energy markets. Oil prices tend to react quickly to disruptions in major shipping routes. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the most critical energy corridors in the world. Even partial disruption can influence markets worldwide. At the same time, alternative trade routes and energy arrangements continue to operate. Some countries maintain direct energy trade relationships that function outside traditional sanction systems. These dynamics create a complex economic picture. While some global shipping slows, certain energy flows continue through alternative channels. For military planners, the challenge is not simply about destroying ships or aircraft. It is about ensuring safe navigation through a narrow and heavily contested waterway. Aircraft carriers such as the USS Abraham Lincoln can project power from nearby seas. From the Arabian Sea, carrier aircraft can reach targets across the region. But projecting power from the air is different from physically securing a shipping corridor. Securing a waterway requires mine-clearing operations, escort missions, surveillance, and constant monitoring. Those operations take time and coordination. They also involve risks for the ships performing them. For now, the carrier continues its operations in waters outside the Strait of Hormuz. Iran continues making claims about striking the ship. The United States continues denying those claims. Meanwhile, the practical question facing global markets remains focused on something else entirely: whether the shipping lanes themselves can be kept open. In that sense, two realities exist at the same time. The Abraham Lincoln appears to be operating normally, and the Gulf remains a difficult environment for commercial navigation. Between those two facts lies the real story of the naval dimension of this conflict. One side emphasizes symbolic targets such as aircraft carriers. The other focuses on disruption within a narrow waterway where global energy flows pass every day. The result is a conflict where information campaigns and maritime tactics unfold simultaneously, and where the balance between perception and control may ultimately shape the outcome of the struggle in the Gulf.